Hello everyone, I'm Edmund Francis, and I am a student from Despark International College. Today, I will be presenting to you about the structural properties of metals and non-metals. This presentation is aimed at helping young technicians understand how different materials behave and how to select the right material for engineering and manufacturing tasks. Today I will be explaining the structural properties of metals and non-metals. Understanding these materials is very important in the engineering and manufacturing field. Metals and non-metals have different atomic structures, which cause them to behave differently in terms of strength, conductivity, and flexibility. In this presentation, we will learn how their structure affects their physical and mechanical properties, and how we can choose the right material for different applications. Now, let's look at the atomic structure of metals and non-metals. Metals have their atoms packed very closely together in an organized pattern called a crystalline structure. The outer electrons are free to move around, and this is known as metallic bonding. That's why metals can conduct heat and electricity so well. Non-metals, on the other hand, have atoms that are not tightly packed. They usually form molecules or covalent networks. Their electrons are fixed in place, so they can't move freely, and that's why non-metals are poor conductors. Next, let's compare the material properties of metals and non-metals. Metals are usually shiny, strong, and can be bent or stretched without breaking. They conduct heat and electricity very well because of their free electrons. Non-metals are quite different, they are usually dull, brittle, and poor conductors. Many non-metals are gases or soft solids at room temperature. These differences happen because of the way their atoms are bonded and arranged. Now let's understand why metals and non-metals have these different properties. In metals, the atoms are arranged in a regular pattern and share their outer electrons freely. This forms what we call a sea of electrons. Because of this structure, the atoms can slide over each other, making metals strong, ductile, and good conductors of heat and electricity. Non-metals, on the other hand, have atoms that are held together by covalent or ionic bonds. These bonds are strong but directional, which means the atoms cannot move easily. That's why non-metals are usually brittle and poor conductors. Let's look at some examples and applications of metals and non-metals. Metals like iron, copper, and aluminum are widely used in industries. Iron is strong and is used to make car chassis and engine parts. Copper is a good conductor, so it's used for electrical wiring. Aluminum is light and strong, which makes it perfect for aircraft and vehicle parts. For non-metals, carbon in the form of graphite is used in lubricants and electrodes because it conducts electricity. Silicon is another important non-metal used in semiconductors and sensors. These examples show how understanding the structure and properties helps us choose the right material for each job. To summarize, metals and non-metals have very different structures and properties. Metals have a regular atomic arrangement with free electrons, which makes them strong, shiny, and good conductors of heat and electricity. They can also be shaped easily without breaking. Non-metals, on the other hand, have covalent or ionic bonds that make them brittle, dull, and poor conductors. By understanding these differences, technicians can choose the right materials for the right applications. For example, metals for structural and electrical parts, and non-metals for insulation or lightweight components. In conclusion, understanding the structural properties of metals and non-metals is very important in the engineering field. Their atomic arrangement and bonding determine how they behave and what they can be used for. Metals are strong, flexible, and good conductors, while non-metals are often brittle and insulating. By learning these differences, we can make better decisions when selecting materials for manufacturing, maintenance, and design work. This knowledge helps young technicians become more confident and efficient in their daily tasks. Thanks for watching. Hope you guys like the video and understand about structural properties of metals and non-metals. Signing off from Edmund Francis. Bye.